So as we dive into the presentation, what we will cover in today's session, we will do a policy overview. You know that research data management has been a very interesting and intriguing topic in the last few years. We have heard, and we have been from Elsevier's side, we have been doing a lot of webinars in Southeast Asia and South Asia region, where there has been a lot of questions about what is the research data life cycle, what are the policies governing research data, why research data management is important, and how universities are supporting their researchers in terms of aligning their research data management requirement. So we will cover the basics, which is a 10-step researcher lifecycle checklist and tools. We will also show you that how using Scopus, you are able to identify past research funding. We will showcase your research hero stories for competitive advantage with Digital Commons institutional repositories. We will understand about tracking findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable data with Data Monitor. We will do a live demo of Digital Commons data, which is Elsevier solutions for research data management. And then finally, we will have question answers and discussions. I know that this is a very long session, so I would welcome all of you to please ask questions. And may I also request our panelists that at any point of time you feel that I should stop and address questions which are flooding in the Q&A box, please do let me know. So research data lifecycle, how is it? I think I did you lose the screen, is it? So how is research data lifecycle defined, right? So we have all heard about research data. Now, what is research data and how data is organized, stored, and managed throughout the life cycle is research data management. Now, research data could be any data. It could be raw data. It could be, large data. It could be your experimental results. It could be your rough works. Whatever you have done during the process of your project, during the process of your working on the research or creating your research output, all of that comprises your research data. And all these research data, which previously were they were ad hoc, they were not really structured in a way when you were doing your research, and all previously the more importance was given to the research outcome, which is your publication. But today the world is changing, and there are new policies in place which talks about how it is important for you to not only have your research publication, but all the associated work that you have done in that project life cycle to accumulate and gather them, connect them with your research publication, have a place where all of these data that you have gathered and all the data that you have created during the process of reaching to your research publication is important. And managing of that records, the stored information in a very structured way, where not only you will be able to refer it later, but also you are allowing other researchers in the network and outside to access that information, so that there is no loss of time in terms of duplicating the research. Now, that process is research data management. Especially during the COVID time, this became very essential because a lot of these data was important, because when people were trying to refer to them as they were trying to build new outcomes in terms of the project that they were doing. Now, as I said, that what is research data? It could be massive scientific data sets, it could be audio-visual content, or it could be a simple spreadsheet. Almost all researchers involved for some kind of data in a variety of media file types. Now, as I move to the next slide, before we go into the details of why research data management is important, I would be launching one poll, and I would like to encourage all our participants to kindly take that poll. Are you able to see a poll which has which is on your screen? May I request all our participants to take the poll? Wonderful. I see a lot of of them are participating. We have 17, we have, few more seconds left before we actually stop the poll. I'm waiting for 100% participation today. Right now, we have 51% of you who have actually participated in the poll. We see a lot of you are saying that I am learning about research data management now. We will be sharing the poll results soon. So we have 67%. Okay, so we have 73% of you participated. I'm requesting more participations to come. And I am hoping to, and in next 1 second, I'll be ending my poll. We have 75% participation for this poll. I'll end my poll now and I will share my result. Can you all see the result? Are you able to see the result on your screen? Nuralia, can you see the result, the poll result?
Yes, I can see it.
And you are all able to see my screen also. The slide behind is why does it matter? I think what I want to request is are you able to see the screen and the slide, both of them?
Yes, yes, we can see it.
Okay, great. So as you can see that, the poll results are here and we have 87% who have said that you are learning about research data management now. We have 8% who agrees that I have a good understanding of research data management. And we have 5% who says that you practice research data management. So it's a good result. And I think it's very encouraging to see that you all have a good understanding and you're all here to understand more about the research data management. I think Ida, are you sharing your screen? Because
No, I'm not sharing anything.
okay, so we will move on now, which is why does research data management matter?
Sorry, Miss Priyanka.
Yes.
Can you turn on the chat box?
Oh, yes, I saw your message. I think it is because the webinar has already started. These settings, I am unable to change it right now.
Because as we know, students familiar with the chat box compared to question and answer.
Okay, I in that case, I will I'm not sure if I can do it now. Um, let in that case I'll stop my sharing my screen. I'll just go back and check whether I can do it right now, if that's all right. And I see that one screen is always being shared. This is either your PowerPoint. I think if you stop sharing, then it will be easy because every time
Sorry.
yeah. I'm trying to now see if I can restart. I can allow the chat option to be opened. It's Yes, unfortunately, I'm not able to do it right now because it has been already set here. Uh, is that all right? I would like to apologize for this, but can I please request you? It's you have the Q&A written right here. It's unfortunate that right now, because the webinar has already started, I can't make that change. I can't allow the participants to use the chat box for now. So I'll have to request you all to kindly use the Q&A. Either is that all right? Do
Yes,
you,
all right.
yeah?
We can use just the Q&A slot.
Yes, I think we have people who are saying that we can use Q&A to chat. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, participants. That's amazing. I will now again start sharing my screen, and we will go back to the presentation. So we just now we have taken a poll and we have heard from you. Now we will look into the fact that why did research data management is important. So what is the compliance? So what happened was, we have noticed that as in the last 10 years, we have noticed that more and more policyholders, funders, as well as publishers are bringing out new policies where it is becoming important, where they're encouraging researchers to share research data along with publication. And one fact around it is, previously researchers were very skeptical about sharing research data because they were worried about plagiarism. But now, because there are policies in place to govern how the research data is shared, that concern has been taken care of. And additionally, what we see is that publications which are linked with the research data, those publications have higher 25% higher citation versus publications that are not linked with research data. So because of the encouraging response of citation that the researchers are receiving, researchers are getting encouraged to publish more publications and also publish their research data. So we have here, what you can see in your screen is National Institute of Health. They also had shared their research data policy in terms of management and sharing policy, which was effective from January 2023. We have OSTP, which is Public Access Policy Memo from US, which is also talking about how they would like to encourage researchers to share their data. And both NIH and OSTP are very well-known research funders in the world. And Malaysia is not far, so I went into your site on my government portal, and I saw that there is a policy which is governing your open data, which there is an encouragement from the government in terms of how researchers should be sharing their research data when they are doing their publication work. We also have policies which are research data lifecycle compliance policies from other countries in Southeast Asia. So in 2015, the government of Thailand also released its first open data strategy under the leadership of DGA with 10 core principles for data publication. So they wanted it to be an open data by default, protected where required, prioritized, discoverable, usable, primary, timely, well-managed, trusted, and authoritative. These are all part of the FAIR policy guidelines. That means your data needs to comply with the FAIR guidelines. So we will look into more about what are the FAIR guidelines, which is globally followed. So here we have examples we saw from funders like NIH, OSTP. We also saw that in Malaysia, there is a encouragement from the government in terms of adhering to the research data policy. We also have Thailand, and we also have publishers who have taken out their own information around how they support open data and how they encourage publishers to publish their research data. So we all have, for example, here we have from Cell, which is one of the most prominent journals of Elsevier. It says that as a Cell Press author, you must be willing to share all the data and original code you report in your published paper with the research community, unless there is a countervailing legal or ethical prohibition. So sharing data requires good RDM. So even when funders and publishers with whom you're working require you to publish your data, you also need to have means to use how you can make your data available. And as we progress in this presentation, I will show you that how from Elsevier we are providing you with a solution. Also, researchers have access to an open data source, which is known as the Mendeley data, that you can use individually to manage your own research data. And we will be sharing more about both the research data management software, which Elsevier provides, as well as what is the open data available to the researchers to subscribe and use their own way to manage their research data policies.
Excuse me,
Yes.
Priyanka. Okay,
Yes.
I just want to make an announcement. To all attendants, if you still see Miss Ida slide, actually you can go to the apps of the computer. The screen, they have two tabs, which is Ida PowerPoint slide and Miss Priyanka slide. Actually, you can have two options at the app of your computer. So you can choose Miss Priyanka tab in order to see Miss Priyanka's slide.
Yeah, and we will wait till all of you confirm that you're able to see my slide.
Okay,
It's okay now.
okay, thank you. If you have still a problem, actually you can ask at the chat box or at Q&A. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ida. I hope you all of you are able to see my slide now. Please use the Q&A box in case you are not able to see. Okay. Okay, so Ida, do let me know if you want me to progress. I see a yes from everyone. Yeah. Okay, great. So do you want me to go back to the previous slides, Ida, or do you want me to continue with the presentation now?
Yes, please continue.
Okay, great. So previously what I was sharing some policies which was coming from from NIH, from some of the key funders, global key funders like National Institute of Health, OSTP, also research data governing policies coming from governments, whether it is Malaysia, Thailand, or we also have research data sharing policies from the publishers. And I'm sure that as researchers, when you intend to publish your paper, and you are reaching out to the publishers, you see that they will also have their open data policies. So Elsevier also has policies on open science, whether it is we have research data policies, we have stance on open science, we have stance on research data light, and all of it is available on our website, where you will be able to, if you go to elsevier.com, you will be able to see our research data policies governing around open science. Now, what does this mean for researchers? Now, we saw that the guidelines around research data policies, in the sense that we have funders, we have publishers, all of them are encouraging researchers to publish data along with their research publications. Why? There are more administrative burdens throughout the research data life cycle. There are also more opportunity to shine and receive additional funding. As you know, that when you structure your research data, and that research data is available for you to share along with your publication, it increases your opportunity to create visibility for your work, and also to apply for more grants which are aligned towards research data management policies. And as I told you, that we have a data and record which shows that when you are publishing your research publications, and those publications are linked with research data, the chances of your citation increases by 25% versus publications which do not have linked research data. Now, what we will follow now here is that research data management 10-point researcher checklist. So as a researcher, when you are doing your research data management, you are probably looking at 10 checklist. Now, everybody will, we will go through these 10 checklists, and do let us know if you have any questions around it. Typically, you will apply for grants. You will submit your data management plan. You will receive your funding. You will conduct your research. You will curate and deposit your data. You will publish your research. You will report to the funder about all these steps. You will promote and share your publications. You will report and track your publications, and you will preserve your data. So from the point of conducting your research, you're curating your research data until to the point where you're preserving your data. These 10-step guideline or checklist is very important when you talk about research data management from the point of view of your researchers. Now, we are at the first point, which is apply for grants. So when you are doing your research, you apply for grants. We have taken here example of NIH, but it could be any grant that you are applying for, whether it is federal granting agencies or any other government grants, or even for your university grants. It increases you always have to fill up a data management plan, right, for sharing mandates. Now, at this point, when I talk about it, I would like to do a quick poll once again, where I'd like to understand what are your thoughts and whether you use whether you use any of the available data management, research data management guidelines. So what I want to quickly check, I would like to understand from you that do you use your are you aware about Mendeley data? So we will take a quick poll to understand whether you know about Mendeley data. So again, like previous time, you will have it on your screen. It would be great if you can take this poll where we want to understand whether you have a Mendeley data account. Are you aware about Mendeley data? Because this is a very popular open source data management tool that researchers can subscribe, create their register, and create their login. There is no charge associated to it. It is a tool used by individual researchers to manage their research data. So I would like to quickly understand if you have, or what is your stand in terms of Mendeley data. We'll be ending our poll soon. We have 55% participation. My request is more and more, I would like to encourage all of you to take this poll. So we have 64% participation. I'd like to encourage, I'll be ending the poll soon. So I would like to encourage all of you to kindly take this poll. I'm hoping that at 75% mark, I can actually end the poll. So we have 71% of you who have participated. Thank you so much for all of you who have participated. I would like to encourage others to also take this very simple poll. Just look at your screen, take the poll, answer your what is relevant for you, so that we can share with all the hosts and panelists and the participants. Okay, so we have 75% of you who have participated. I will end my poll now, and I will share the results. So you have the results in front of you. Are you all able to see the result? So there, a quick readout of the results. So we have 47% of you who said you don't have a Mendeley data account. 40% of you have registered for a Mendeley data account. And there are 13% who talks about, I'm keen to have a Mendeley data account. Thank you so much. We will talk more about Mendeley data and how it helps you and how it is different from the other data management, research data management tools that are available. So who has funded your past research? Now, when you talk about funders, when you are applying for grants, it is before you apply for grant, it is important for you to do some research to find out that, okay, previously the work that you have done or the institution from where you belong, the work that your institution has done, who are the key funders for that institution? Now, I believe you all have access to Scopus. Could you let me know, Ida, if the institute is subscribing to Scopus?
Yes.
Great. So you all have probably access to Scopus, and you can find out very quickly from Scopus. So what I did, I used your Scopus affiliation profile. for UPM. And then I looked at your the funder response. So I looked at the key funders that you have. So of course, most of the funding is coming from your institute. You also have Ministry of Higher Education Malaysia. You have other ministries available here who has been your key funders for the research that your university is doing. So you can explore the research output resulting from the funding sponsor. So on the right side of your screen, you can see that from the funding that you have received, you have done publications, how many publications, and how your documents by funding sponsors. So depending on the funding that you have received, the number of publication that your university has produced receiving that funding. So this data is available using Scopus. If you analyze your results that you get from looking at your research affiliation profile of your research, then you will be able to actually drill down and look at the documents by funding sponsor as well as your funding sponsor list. This will help you to gain insight into elements that will impact for allocating research funding, which means when you are applying for a new grant, if you have these results with you, you will be able to take insightful decision in terms of where you should apply for your grant and what kind of research your grant will most likely be able to fund. So once you have identified your funding source and once you have identified the research funder that you will be working with, the next important step for you is to submit your data management plan. I will take a quick pause to ask our panelists, does UPM have do you encourage or do you have a specific data management plan that your researchers need to follow when they're applying for internal grants? Can any one of the panelists be able to answer that?
Miss Priyanka, can you please repeat again the question?
Yes, so the question is that does your institute follow a data management plan? As you can see that, when researchers are applying for grants from outside of the universities, like some of the popular funders like NIH, OSTP, or ARC, Australian Research Council, the mandate from these funders is that they require the researchers to first submit their data management plan. So I wanted to know whether, for your university, do you also have a requirement for researchers to submit their data management plan?
Yes, we have DMP plan in our system for grant. Applying
Yes.
grant.
Yeah. So thank you so much for helping me address that. So as you can see that even for every institute and including your universities, when you're applying for grants, you're required to have your data management plan. And when it comes to data management plan, some of the key elements that you should be aware of is listed on the right side of the screen, where you can see that you need to have information around DOI, your ORCID ID, type and amount of data expected to be generated from your research, what are the data standards used, what data will be preserved and shared and why, repository where your data will be stored, how data will be findable and identifiable. And then it also talks about when and how long data will be made available, how the DMP will be managed, which means that as you initiate your research work and as you are applying for grant, you need to have all these information to fill into your data management plan. That means you need to know the details of your ORCID, details of your data, how you're going to preserve your data, how you're going to share, what is the repository that you will be using to preserve your data, whether your data is findable and identifiable, and how long will you let your data remain open. So whether you're creating an embargo period, which means that you say, okay, my data is available for the next 3 months, after which my data will be closed. So all of these, you need to have a plan for all of it. Fill that in your data management plan before you progress to doing your research. Right? So that is the second step of your research data management life cycle. Now, after we fill this and we submit it to our funder or to our grant system, in our grant system, then we will move to our third step, which is the receiving of funding. Right? After you have submitted your research data management plan, then you receive your funding. And once you have your funding, then you start conducting your research. Now, as you conduct your research, you gather data intentionally and responsibly. So as a researcher, you have to follow ethical guidelines in terms of how your data is gathered. So you should have an organized method before you start your research project. Once again, I would like to ask our panelists, does university have a research data repository? I would love to know whether your researchers are using your data repository to submit their data. May I request our panelists to help me answer that question?
Yes, we have a data repository, but it's not mandatory.
Okay, and do you have your researchers who are submitting in that? They are using that data repository?
Yes, we have.
Okay, wonderful. So as you can see that every institutions from the library side always provides you with the right tool so that you can manage your data. Now, data repositories are unique and they're different from the normal institutional repository. So data repository should also be abiding by the FAIR guidelines so that you can consider, in terms of what kind of file formats and naming conventions you're using to submit your data, metadata standards, the storage, the versions, and the backup. Organize all your research output in terms of data sets, code, software, images, etc. Because as I said, that when we talk about research data, it can be in different formats. It could be in a textual format, visual format, audio format. It could be a code, it could be a spreadsheet, it could be a software. All of that, you need to have a place which is abiding by the FAIR guidelines or principles, and then you will be able to store that data. Fortunately, your institution already has a data repository, so you can always have access to that data repository to deposit your data. There are also ways in which many of the researchers deposit data in subject-specific databases as well. So this is the first step that you need to follow and you need to be aware of to do or to start doing a very ethical way of research data management. Once you deposit your data in an authoritative manner in your institutional data repository, in the future cases when you need to access your data, you know that it is secured and it is stored and you will be able to access it and share it with the other collaborators or for your other project works that you might need to do. So consider a data reuse, searching of repository. So generally what happens is that apart from your institutional data repositories, researchers also have a user ID and password, and they create their own login in Mendeley Data, where they also deposit their own data. And using that, you can search by functionalities, by publication, by funder, author, and other metadata, and make the finding other data for reuse. So once you store the data in data repositories, you can search for the data, you can reuse the data. So it is very important why the whole idea about making data open is that you can reuse the data and you can reproduce the data, not only for your work, but also other collaborative work that you do. When you have the data available, you can reproduce your results. And this is the main reason why all the institutions, funding bodies, and the statutory bodies are talking or encouraging the researchers to plan for a research data lifecycle work. I will take a pause to see if there are any questions you want me to answer. Okay, so you have a screenshot here where we have taken a screenshot from the Mendeley data, and we have seen that how you can search for usable data in repositories and what are the reproducibility steps to make reuse easier, right? So we will actually go live on Mendeley data, and we will be showing how in Mendeley data researchers can create their own data sets. They can then structure and use different metadata around their data sets to increase the chances of reproducibility and as well as to bring visibility for the work that they do. So you can also do data collections for reuse. So here we have an example where collections of comparative data is becoming very popular and more visible. So this is also again taken from an example. So this is a collection of data called Things Data, which is a multimodal collection of large-scale data sets. It was done for an investigative object representation in behavior and brain and behavior. You can see that with this data, it also has a data side to help you with the DOI. The data has received 1,625 views. You also have altmetric that helps you to understand the interaction that is happening with your data. You can see that it has received 2 citations, and linked with this data, you can also read the associated publication. So this is your data set, and then you also have associated publication, and you can see the author name. You can see when it has been posted, right? So the results, which are key metrics, repository linked, non-repository linked data, right? So we are sharing some data to help you understand that how it is important to link your data with the with the repositories, and what are the outcomes if your data is not linked with the repository. So Elsevier has a solution known as Data Monitor. Data Monitor is a database which is collecting data from all the different subject-specific databases, and they're bringing the data into one single place for institutions to have access to. And what we have seen that, when there are international publications, and in Data Monitor, most of the publications have an average citation per publication is 22.93, and a field-weighted citation index is 1.48. The publications which are not in Data Monitor, it is about 32% of international publications are not in Data Monitor. Their average citation is 21.93, and their field-weighted citation index is 1.45. Now, what do we find out? That a lot of publications are in both the repository set and non-repository sets. That means that as we are encouraging more and more researchers to use repository, there is still a large section of researchers who are not depositing data in any repositories. And likely that any given publication has multiple references to different data assets. For field-weighted citation index and average citation for publication, there is a marginal difference. Almost certainly not, as you can see that the difference is very marginal. Difference more notable with regards to the proportions that are international. So when it comes to international publications, then there is a big difference in terms of what is being, what number of international publications are hosted in repositories, what number of publications are not deposited in the repositories. So when collaborate in a secure, compliant environment. So when we talk about collaborate, what we mention is that when you are using your institutional repositories, a lot of you researchers belonging to the same institutions will be using the repository that your library is providing. And that repository is now providing you with an environment where you can collaborate. Researchers will need to work collaboratively with different levels of permission. That means that, for example, an ex-researcher has submitted a data in the institutional repository, that ex-researchers can decide how or what kind of usage rights will it provide to its collaborator or to its other researchers with whom he is collaborating to do work, right? So he can decide what role he wants to give, how much of the data that he has shared should be reused, or how much of data needs to be reworked by the different collaborative entities that the researcher is collaborating with. Researchers may be from one or more institutions. So you can collaborate. So your Your repository should have the capability that allows you as a researcher to collaborate on your data within your institution as well as outside of your institution. It provides you with a shared space where you can store and share data in a secured way. At the same time, it should have capabilities to make the data private during your research phase. That means you will have the right and you will have the power to decide whether you're making the data available and when you're making your data available publicly. You can create an archive of raw and published data which is associated with your project so that you can later find your research data and you can reuse your research data. Now, I'm not very sure how your repository is designed, but this is a standard example of collaborative environment that most repositories will be able to provide with you. When we look into our repository, so Elsevier provides a research data repository, which is known as Digital Commons Data Repository. I will be able to share all of these, and we will then check with our panelists to see, how what are the differences and how your institutional repositories are designed to help you work in a collaborative environment. So some of the example of collaborative spaces. So we know that, people use a lot of data source. People use Google Drive, OneDrive, Dropboxes to share their own report data. But however, these, this kind of sources are not considered very secured. So project environment where research team can secure, share data files and collaboratively prepare data sets to publish. Also, these are not interoperative. So it is very important that when we talk about a repository where you're able to share your data, it should have interoperability. And this interoperability should allow your repository to link with these cloud sources where you are storing your data. I'm sure that many of you use these data sources to store your data. I would like to encourage you to also use your institutional repositories and link them with your data sources so that you are using a collaborative environment to share your research data and collaborate with your other researchers. So we now move to the next step, which is we talked about conducting your research. Now we talk about curate and deposit your data, right? Now, before you publication, data often needs to be curated. Anonymization may be required. So sometimes you might want to work on your data and keep that data anonymous. Visualization in terms of charts and tables are very impactful when it comes to research data. And also you must be aware of the copyright and the licensing support that you need to provide to your research data. Data sets and metadata and file information to consider. So data set files is the data is the data in commonly used file types. If not, do you now where a fellow researcher can access appropriate software to open the file? Include information on accessing that software with your data set. Include a README file that contains any pertinent information about using your data. That means that when you're sharing your data set, you need to provide all these information to know the readers, to let the readers know how to access your data. Your data set metadata could include contributors, which means who are the contributors of the data. It should have an ORCID ID. Are contributors registered in ORCID? And do you have their ID? So it is very important to link it with your data. To provide data in terms of funders and grant information. So when you are submitting your research data, it should be linked with the funders and grant information. And also you should be able to assign Creative Commons license for your data. That will help your researchers in terms of accessing your data and understand how it can be used. So it is not just enough to depositing your research data into the repository. It is also very important that you have access to metadata, create metadata around contributors, funders, data site, ORCID IDs, Creative Commons license, so that when other researchers are able to access your data, they will know the rules and the guidelines behind how they need to use your data. So that is why you need to bound your research data with all these details. I will again take a pause and I will launch my last poll. I will launch my last poll here for you all. So this is my last poll for all of you. I would like to also request our panelists to take this poll if that is possible. We are talking about here research data management at your university. So we would like to understand that as a researcher, how you're managing your data at the university. Thank you so much for all of you who are participating. I would like to request more participation. We have 40% of you who have participated. It would be great if we can reach at our usual 75% participation rate, and then I can end the poll and share the result with all of you. So we have 50% participation now, and I can see as of now, we have 63%, which is a huge number, who says, I believe this will be important to have RDM at my university. And I think after this poll, I will invite one of the panelists to share a little bit about the research data management work that the library is initiated and the repository they have to share with all of you. We have 56% of you participated. I would like to encourage more participation. It would be wonderful. It is for your good. If we know how you're doing it, what is important for you, this will really help your institutions to address your needs in a better way. It's a very simple poll. It will be available on your screen. Just answer, the option that best suits your requirement. So we have 59% who have participated. We will give few more seconds before we end this poll. I would like to encourage all of you to take this poll. Polls are very important because, as you know, that, in webinars, we are not able to interact with all of you individually. These polls are a way of understanding, how you feel, what you're doing, what is important for you, going forward, what will be key, essential, where are you in terms of research data management lifecycle right now. These results are shared with your institution, and they will then have access to the right tools to provide you with the right environment to carry forward the research data lifecycle work when you are doing your publications, when you're applying for your grants. So we have 64% participated. What I will do now is that I'll end this poll and I will share the result. Previously, for all the polls, we had results which were closer to each other. But here we see a stark difference. We have 63% who believes that, research data management policies from the university will be important. We have 25% who said that I have never had a situation where research data management was important. We have 13% who says that I require to manage your research data when I am publishing. So I see that 13% of you are among the 64% participation, have already been aware and are practicing research data management work. I will stop sharing this, and I will encourage our panelists. Do you want to take this opportunity to address the attendees and share a little bit about how from the university side you encourage research data management, the repository that you have, if you think that this is helpful? What do you feel? I would like to check with our panelist on this.
Actually, our university have our own institutional repository, which is we have shared the link at the chat box, Putra repository. So this repository can be used for the lecturer, and then they can add a student or outsider in order to share the data, the file in the repository.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I am sure that the participants will find this very interesting. So now what we are going to talk about that you have your own institutional repositories, but typically when you do your research data life cycle after you have applied for grant and you curate your data, you need to choose your repository. Now many times researchers use disciplinary repositories as well. If you look at NIH, which is National Institute of Health, they actually have a guideline in terms of scientific data management and sharing policies, which is available here with the presentation. And later after this session, I will actually share my presentation deck with our panelists, and then they will probably distribute it among the participants. And when it comes to the references, the NIH has disciplinary list, so they also provide you with the list. So typically most grant organizations, funding organizations will provide you with the repositories that you can link with and can share. Your institutions may require to deposit in your local repository, which just now we heard from our panelists that your institution has your repository, and she shared that the link of the repository has been shared in the chat box for you. If you have not seen it before, please click on the link and share and look at the repository that your institution is provided. But what if a disciplinary repository is not available or not a fit? So this is when a question comes that you need to know your repository of your institution well, because many times the funding organizations will provide links of disciplinary repository, which might not be the right fit for your research data or the work that you're doing. Now, desirable characteristics of data repositories. Now, whenever we work with data repository or when we think about a data repository, there are some key guidelines which are set forth by National Institute of Health and by the National Science and Technology Council, which is cited in OSTP guidance. Here we talk about these are the most these are the funding bodies which are globally most referred to when it talks about what are the key characteristics that your data repository have. So typically it should have a unique persistent identifier so that when you deposit your data should have an DOI. It should be long-term sustainable. You should be able to connect your data with different metadata. That means you should be able to add contributors, your funder information. You should be able to add the Creative Commons license. You should be able to add any other metrics or other metadata that you want along with your data. It should have a curation and quality assurance policies. It should be free and easily accessible. It should be broad and measured reuse. There should be a clear user guidance. It should have a proper authoritative security and integrity to abide by the FAIR principles or guidelines. It should have a common format for all the data types. It should have a provenance, and it should have a retention policy, right? So when your data is stored, there should be a typical retention policy. So you know that when you're archiving your data, tomorrow, if you need your data, you should be able to access it properly. Now, this is a list of generalist, repositories, comparison chart. So these are all generalist repositories. So we have Harvard Dataverse, we have Dryad, we have Figshare, we have Mendeley Data, OSF, Wimley, Zenodo. So this is available from the NIH site. So you can actually look at the comparison chart here at zenodo.com, where you can see that what are the difference between the different data repositories. And once you are aware of all these differences, you will be able to know which data repository is best suited for you to deposit your data. Now, very recently, what National Institute of Health did, they created a generative ecosystem initiative. Under this ecosystem initiative, they identified few data repositories which are freely available for researchers. So they made that these free versions are available. The NIH also provided funding to all these free data repositories so that they can work and maintain these data repositories, provide the right tools to the researchers so that when researchers are using these free data repositories, they are able to comply with all the standard guidelines. So the awardees, so when NIH launched this program, and they run this program to identify the different free data repositories, the ones that got awarded are Mendeley Data, Figshare, OSF, Dryad, Zenodo, Vivly, and Dataverse. And what was the expected outcome? That to make data sharing easier for all the data, for all the funding, all the researchers, so that when you share your data, it improves the discoverability. That means that how do you make these platforms available in a way that it will make your data visible across globally, so that you have more discoverability, more chances of collaboration work, increase reproducibility of research, and encourage secondary use of data. That means once you have created the data, you have published your research paper, but when you deposit your data in the repository, other researchers, the new incoming researchers who are doing research in a similar field like yours, will be able to reuse your data. That means they encourage the secondary use of the data for taking the work, for creating more research outcomes from the particular discipline or particular work that you're doing. Right. So this is this is the NIH Gray initiative. It talks about how, in terms of conducting outreach, implementation of open metrics. So they started the initiative, provided the funding to make the research data freely available for researchers to use the research data management policies. We will dive down into Mendeley Data. We have talked about Mendeley Data before. Now, Mendeley Data is a free, secure, cloud-based generalist repositories where researchers can share data, ensuring it is easy to discover, access, and cite. You have to log in, and you will be able to log into the Mendeley Data, create user ID, password, and then you will be able to use that. Mendeley Data complies with the FAIR guideline. FAIR stands for findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. That means that every repository should actually be abiding by the FAIR guidelines or FAIR principles. Mendeley Data is no different. They abide by the FAIR guidelines. They provide you with the storage. So data is stored on Amazon S3 server. They provide 10 GB of data space for individual researchers to use for storing their data. It is easily curated, and it is improved impact because published data sets metadata is aggregated to DataCite metadata index and to the OpenAIRE portal, and that is indexed in Data Monitor. So metrics on downloads, views, data citation, sourced from DataCite, and Crossref are displayed. So when you use Mendeley Data and you store your data in Mendeley Data, then you will be also able to see the impact. You will be able to see the citation information, the DataCite information, which is then captured in terms of social media interaction as well. So you can have access to Mendeley Data. The link is here for you to go into it, create your own open data link. Mendeley Data is also powered. So the free version of Mendeley Data is available for subscription only at individual researcher level. So researchers can log in and create their user ID password and access Mendeley Data. If an institution wants to subscribe to Mendeley Data, then institution cannot subscribe to the free version. At the institution level, we have something called Digital Commons Data, which is available, and I will be going into both these solutions to show you that how at an individually you can have the free version, but at an institution level, we have the paid version, which has more additional features to be used, which is known as the Digital Commons Data. So this is the Mendeley Data fast fact. So you have a size limitation. So maximum total size of all files in the free version is 10 GB, whereas when you go with the institutional subscription model, it is 100 GB. There is a storage limitation when we provide you with the free version for individual researchers. Institutions can get 10 to 20 GB of their Digital Commons Data subscription and can purchase additional storage in 10 terabyte increments. Individual or Mendeley Data do not have a capped storage size. So that means that they do not have that the storage is limited with the Mendeley Data version. But when it comes to the the paid version of the subscription. Typically for that subscription, we provide anywhere between 10 to 20 terabyte storage space. Media types, any type of file can be uploaded into a data set, but not all can be previewed within the data set itself without downloading them. These are the file types that can be previewed, which is CSV, JPG, the usual common ones, but there are other types which cannot be visible. File sharing integration, cloud storage integration available on Digital Commons data. So the institutional subscription version has integration with Box, Dropbox, Google Drive, and OneDrive. These allow users to connect to their accounts and copy files from there directly into the data set. Now, this file sharing integration is not available for the individual free version. This is available for the paid version. I'll take a pause to see if there are any questions. Can I check with the panelists if you have any question on this? Okay, if we don't have, we will move here. So we will look at some screenshot. Yes,
Sorry,
ma'am.
Mrs. Priyanka. There's some question. The question
Okay.
will be from Wei Ho Chan. Can
Okay.
SIM data, the question is, can SIM data set be deposited in different repositories? Example, on institution or Mendeley?
Yes, you can deposit the same data in different repositories as well. But typically we always encourage you to identify one place for depositing unless it is a mandate. So for example, if you're publishing with XYZ publisher and they say that, okay, your data needs to be deposited in a particular data repository, then you deposit your data in that repository. Plus, you also deposit your data in your institutional repository as well. But if there is no mandate, then you can select any one of the repository to deposit your data and then link it with your publication.
I see. Thank you for answering. Another question is from Wei Ho Chen again. Are there any differences between open data platform and data science or software development program platforms? Example, Kaggle, GitHub, and where dataset may also be accessed openly.
Yes, so there is a huge difference. So those platforms which you are talking about, they were not designed typically as a data repository. While you can access the data, that is not always in terms of complete. So for example, you have to look at the metadata which are linked with the data. When we talk about specific data repositories, these data repositories are designed in a way that is aligned with different funders' requirement. And it is not just about accessing data, but it is also about making your data reusable and reproducible, and at the same time, follow the FAIR principle guidelines. So there is a difference with the open source as well as the other data specific repositories that are available.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. Priyanka. For now, that's the only question for now lah.
Okay, great. So now what you see on your screen is a Mendeley data homepage. So I'll request you to look at the left side of the screen first. So this is the homepage where you can see when you log in, you will actually come into this homepage. We will talk about the Gray repository here, which I told you that the initiative that NIH had. Here where is the search. This is where you search for your data, for your repository. Then you can create your data set. So you can see that you have a create data set. You go here and then you start creating your data set. So you fill in the data, you upload the files which is required. You can have the version, you can have published version. You know what is the visibility, it is open access. You know who are the contributors, so you can add the names of the contributors. You can immediately as you deposit your data, you get your citation, your DOI, which is received from the data side. And then you can once you have created the data set and you're happy with what you created, you can look at the preview and then you can publish. Now this what you can see here is Digital Commons data, and we will actually view it in detail when we go to the live demo very quickly. So once you have all of that, you publish your research, you write up your findings as an article, you submit to a journal. Journal submission workflow often include data management and sharing steps as well. So this depends on individual journal, which journal you're publishing. The manuscript management system might have a data management workflow inbuilt within it. And then you follow the best practices, should be affiliated with the article, right? Now, upload data for sharing. So you can upload your data. You can provide a URL to data set. You can select a linked repository, with what data repository you want. Then you have the repository name, your other So this is the workflow that is there when you're submitting your publication. I'm sure many of you who have submitted research data might have come across a similar workflow where you have entered all these details regarding your research data along with your publications. Now, data sharing upon article submission. So once you have, when you're doing your article submission, data availability statement, options might include no data was used. So when you are submitting your data, you might come across any of these options where you can choose either from no data was used, data is confidential, authors do not have permission to share, data will be made available on request, etc. So you might have come across a workflow where you have been able to choose. Here, what you're seeing on the right side is the back end of Digital Commons data. When we open up this data for researchers to submit their publications, we have a data management policy, and we also link it with the publication, and we offer you with different choices. So you can select what choice best fits you when you're submitting your publication into the particular journal, right? So this is another example, Cell Genomics. This is from Cell Press, data discovery from publication. So this is a publication here, and you can see that journal articles can link to supplemental materials, including data, code, and images, right? So you can see here, this is the supplemental information. Journals may include data availability information directly in the article. Examples of data availability statements. So you can have different statements. The whole genome raw sequence data reported in this study cannot be deposited, or you can have been deposited in the GenBank database. So or original code is available in this paper supplemental information. So you have, these are the different examples in terms of how data availability statements are recorded along with your research publication. And you will see it. This is an example of Cell Press where we have the publication here, and then we have details of data and code availability and supplemental information. You can also report to funders. So once you have taken the grant, you can also report, which is post-award monitoring and reporting, where you can give details. And the details, I have shared the link here where you can see the details of what is being shared, how it is shared, where it is shared. All of that information is reported back to the grant, which has supported your research. You can also add funder metadata. So when you are using your repository, here is an example of Mendeley data. When you are using Mendeley data, you can also add funder information. So you can add details of who the funder. So on the right side, you can see it's an example of a data set. Here we have categories and a funding information. So as a metadata, this particular data set has captured that it has National Institute of Environment Health Sciences as the funder. So you can also include those informations here. Once you are depositing your data, you need to have a landing page which is globally visible, where you are promoting and sharing your data, because this will influence citation for the work that you're doing. So publications and associated data sets. So for Digital Commons data, we provide you with a landing page that allows you for research and supporting data to be shown, and in the form of exhibits, in the form of events, and that can be then available for others to see. So Digital Commons data is an openly available, you make your repository has an external facing site, and that external facing site allows a showcasing of your research data, which then brings visibility, and this visibility then influences the citation of the work that you're doing. What I will do now is I will give you an example of that. So here we have Utah State University. They are subscriber of Digital Commons data. This is a professor, J.R. Dennison. He leads the material science group at Utah State University. He was working together with his library, and he put all the output from his group in Utah State Institutional Repository. So they have Digital Commons data repository, and he put all his findings from the work that he did into the repository. What did that do? once it was in the repository. His article in the IR was found by the CEO of an aerospace material business working for NASA and the US Air Force. Shortly, Professor Dennison signed an industry collaboration contract to work with the business to develop and test new innovative materials. The contract is still ongoing. It's an ongoing project. As a result, Professor Dennison's group received more recognition, more funds, and in working on more interesting experiments. Now, Digital Commons data, which is our data repository, it is backed by search engine optimization and web discoverability tools. It has an external facing site. So when it brings visibility to the work, to the data that is being deposited, that helps to bring a wider reach to wider people, and then it increases collaboration work and helps you to bring more research and more funding. We also provide Digital Commons data also comes with a dashboard. This dashboard allows you to look at the views. So you can see who viewed, which institution viewed, where, in which country your data has been downloaded, the details of that. You can also look at Plum metrics that will help you to see citation information coming from Crossref, coming from Scopus, coming from PubMed. You also get to see mentions, blog mentions, social media mentions using this reporting tool that Digital Commons data has. Now, what I will do very quickly is that, because I see that it is almost 11 o'clock, so I will, what I will go is I'll take you live on the platforms so that you will be able to see some results for yourself. But before I do that, what I want to show you some results for your university, right? So what I did, I logged into Mendeley Data as in an incognito mode. That means I did not use my institutional user ID and password. I just logged in. And when I logged in and I searched for your institution, I saw that there were 588 data sets which were available and linked with your institution data. Now what I did, I logged in, and when I logged in and have started using the subscription version of Digital Commons data, and I used your UPM ID, I saw that now I have access to 1061 data sets from the university, and this is because this subscription version is powered by Data Monitor. I will take a quick pause to check with our panelists. Do you know how much data is there in your institutional repository?
So sorry, Mrs. Priyanka, could you please repeat again?
Yeah, and what I wanted to share is that in case if you have an idea that in your institutional repository, how much data sets do you have? Do you know any number, like a tentative number? Are you aware, like how much data set is there in your repository?
Actually, in our repository, it's about 100 plus data.
Okay, so ma'am, as you can see that when you are going, even when you log into Mendeley Data, which is the free version, you actually have access to 588 data sets, and these are all linked with your institution. So maybe you would want to have a view of, and check all these data. So to kind of see, because this is also all of your institution data, which is being captured in Mendeley Data. Right? So what I will do, so the presentation previously also I shared that there are, there's a difference between the individual subscription, which is freely available, and the institutional subscription Digital Commons data. So the differences are linked here in terms of, what is the storage capacity, maximum data set size, what all they don't have. So you don't have branded showcase in your free version. You do not have, you cannot restrict the files views of the files. It is not integrated with the local storage servers, doesn't have custom metadata, it doesn't have admin functions, it doesn't let you create collections. It also file upload from cloud storage, Google Drive and Dropbox is not available. In the common features they have is that you can file upload from user's computer, you can create contributors, you can create embargo, you can have usage metrics, you can also have your DOI, you can also get OAI PMH support in both the free and the subscription version. what I will do now is I will actually take you live on the platforms to help you show how our digital commons data works. So I have some examples here to show you how the data works. So this is an example of multiple versions, so how you can create multiple versions of the data. So this is an example of a data. So this is Elsevier data repository. This is on Mendeley data. So this is a demo environment that we have created. I will just sign in. Okay. So I have signed in here. So I'll go to the data repository. So you can see that this is the data repository that we have created. And this is the front end, the front page, right? So it's a demo environment. I have logged in here and I can see my different collections. So I can create different collections of data here. When I do the search in this repository, I have 151 results. So for example, if I click on any one of the data, so let me look for this particular data here. So I'll just click here, collection again. So what you will see on your screen is the example of a data set, right? So here we have Open Archive data. So this is from the Department of Material Science. And what we see here is that we have a data collections here. So when you click on any one of the data set, so you can see that this is the data set. You have the description of the data here. And then you have the data set metrics. So you can see how many times it has been downloaded, what are the views. You can see the version when it was published, what is the DOI of the data set. You can cite this data set, so you can copy and cite this data set. These are the different files which has been uploaded. It also talks about steps to reproduce the data, which is the institution, which is the department, what is the category of the data set, what are the additional metadata for university. Here you can look at the related link. So this is where the article is. You also have Creative Commons license here, right? So this is one example of the data set. What we can do now is that I can show you some more examples of data. So for example, I will go to, so we have collections here. So I click on the collections here and I look at this collection which was created. Right, so this is a collection which has been created. You can see the contributor is Elsevier team. You can look at the description of the collection and data set with. So once you click on this particular collection is a group of data together. You see that there are 31 results. So these are all the data sets which are part of this collection that has been there, right? So now if I click on any one of these data set here, then I can see my data set metrics. I can see the downloads, the blog mentions, the social media, the Plum details here. I can also see the versions, right? When it was published, 16 September, I can look at the DOI. I can see the previous version. So there were different versions of the data set and which day. If you want to compare the versions, you can click on compare versions here and you can choose which versions you want to compare. So for example, I want to compare version 1 and version 3. So you have the details. So what is the difference between these two versions? You can create, you can see this, right? So I go to exit comparison now. And this is the final version, of course, and you can also see it has received 1 citation. Any question on this data? After this, I will show you how you can start building your data on the Elsevier data repository. But any question on this one?
Okay, Mrs. Priyanka, there's one question from Khalida Al-Kalabi.
Yes.
It stated how researcher to be confident about the security of his data when he uploaded his data sheet work.
Yeah, so that you can only be confident when you know that the repository is abiding by the FAIR principle guidelines. So any repository that you are uploading your data, you make sure that that repository is complies with FAIR principle guidelines, which is findable, accessible, interoperable, reproducible. So one, if they are abiding by those guidelines, you know that the balances and checks have been done on that repository, and that repository will provide you with the right infrastructure in terms of securely hosting your data. Also, hosting data in your institutional repository is extremely encouraged because your institution stakeholders have already done their curation, have already done their due diligence in terms of the repository. And that is why it is always encouraged that when you're doing your research, please use your own institutional repository to deposit your data. Also, Mendeley data, it is the free version is openly available. You can also log in, create your ID, and you can see that most of the funders recommend these free databases. You can choose any one of these free databases, whether it is Mendeley data or any other repositories, to manage your own data sources. Right. So you can see here, I have logged in, so I can see that I have an admin role. You have moderation, my data. So I'll go to my data now. So when I go to my data, this is where I can create. So you can see that I can create a data set. I can create a new collection. I can create a new project. And you can see here, I have created many of these examples. So I'll click on test just for you to demonstrate and show. So here I started building, I wrote test here. I can have preview. I can see that it's open access. I can share. I can delete this data. Immediately I have a DOI, which is reserved for my data set, which is coming from DataCite. I can add contributors. So if you want to add contributor, you can write the name of the contributor that you can add. So for example, if I want to add this as a contributor, I'm adding her as a contributor. When I write the name, I can write the details of the author, who the author is, which institution the author belongs, what is the ORCID ID, what is the contribution, and what is the position of that contributor, with a first position, second position, third position, and so on. So it allows you to create a detailed information about your contributor. You can write a description of the data. What is your data? There's a 3,000 pair limit. And then you can start uploading your documents. You can upload, click here to upload. You can upload from cloud storage. So if you click here, on cloud storage, all the cloud storage are integrated. So your data, whether it is saved in Box or Dropbox or Google Drive or OneDrive, you can connect it, and then you can start uploading your document, your file, your data from that into this repository. You can choose your license, so you can change this. You can choose what license. So if it is for a data, you can choose which Creative Commons license best suits or defines your data. You can choose any one of them and you can change it. You can also write the name of the institution, your institution, which department it belongs to. You can categories for this data. So you can create categories. So example, it is science. So you can choose from here, drop down whether what is it is an agriculture science, animal science. See, if I choose animal science, then it will pick up the categories. Categorizing your data is very important because this allows you to create more defined identification of your data, which is very important for making your data available for reproducibility. Then you can also add funders. So from who has funded your research, you can add those details. You can add the steps to reproduce your data. You can also add the data was collected, the details of the data, nature of the data, what kind of data was it, the revision history, and if there are links, if you want to link your publication with the data, you can do that. And then you can look at the preview. So if you look at the preview here, So this is the preview. So you can see how your data will look like once you have published, and then you can decide whether you want to, publish it, or you want to keep it and make more changes and save it as a version. So if you publish it, it will be published. If you do not want to publish it, you want to save this version, you can just save this version. Right? So this is your version 1. So this is what you have created. And then you can also create more versions of it. Any is this something that you understand, that how you actually start building your create your own research data, how you start building your data? Any question on this one? Now I will go back to the Digital Commons data moderation. So when you go as a moderator, you can actually create roles and rights, and you can decide, once a researcher has deposited the data, whether to make it public or not. You can actually, you can create a workflow where you can decide whether you're approving or rejecting. You can also look at the activity when it was submitted last. You can see that activity here, so you can details of that. These are data sets which are waiting for review. If you have returned a data set back to the researcher as a moderator, those will also be left here. You can see the data set here. You can see the activity, when was the latest request sent. So these all moderation steps will help you to manage your institutional repository in a better way. You can also see the admin here. As an admin, when you log in, you have a detailed overview. So you can see the overview of all the data deposited in your repository anytime, last 24 hours, last week, last month. You can also choose your dates to decide, to look at the snapshot overview of when was the data deposited. You can also look at the users of your repository. You can see who all have created their login IDs, what is their name, what is the role. If you have given them a role, you can actually give them a role, and then you can see the names of all the details. So here we have this. So they have both admin role, moderator role, and data monitor role. So you can actually create roles for individual, and you can, so for example, if you edit, and then you can say what role you want to give to that person, you can update the user and give them that role. And then you can also check at the audit logs. So you can see who all visited, what work that they have done. You can get the details of which version they are working on, what action they have taken. So these details are there. And then finally, you can customize a home page. As I told you that in Digital Commons data, you can create an external facing site where you can showcase your data to bring more visibility. It can be done that. I'll go back to the My Data now, and I will show you one of the Digital Commons data customer website. So this is how the Digital Commons data looks. So this is of University of South Florida. They use Digital Commons data. So you can see that this is their landing page. You can also access, it is openly available. So you can see that they have 5,900. So this is their data repository. So they are using Digital Commons data as their data repository. This is the landing page that we have created for them. You can see all the data are here. On the right side, you have the filters to see the sources from where the data is being brought. You can also see the details of the funders if there are any. You can also see the data types, data type, tabular data, videos, collection, text files. So if you look at videos, we have videos here. So if you look at the supplemental material, no, this is not added. Let me see which is available, if we can have access to that. So this is the video that they have. So you can download the video. So this is their video as a data type. You can see, you can cite it, you can download the video, you can see how many views of that video has been as a data, what are the download, if there's citation, you can see the categories, the keywords, what are the related materials that they have, Creative Commons license here. You can also export it in different format if you want this particular data. Yeah, you can also see the history of that data. You can see the full text of the article. So this is the version that you can see here. So this is an example of an institution who is using Digital Commons data as their data repository, and we just had a look at one of their data. I'll take a pause to see if there are any questions.
Mrs. Priyanka, there's
Yes,
one
ma'am.
question some more from Izharuddin Kamaruddin.
Yes.
He stated, thanks for the amazing presentation. What is the most important data to include there? Should it include everything, very raw data?
Yes, it can include anything. There is no restriction to the type of data that you want to store. There is no, you can, as long as that data is something that you have produced, that you have had access to, that you have created in your process of research, this is what you can do. Any other questions?
Okay, that's all for now.
Right. I mean, from my side, I have actually covered everything in totality. I will be sharing my presentation. My presentation will have all the links that you can visit, learn more. I will also encourage all of you to create the free version, login ID, password, and register with the Mendeley data. But yeah, if there are any other questions that you can ask, I will stop sharing to see if any question. Even I'll encourage panelists, if you have any questions, you can also share that.
Thank you, Mrs. Priyanka, for the very insightful and fruitful presentation. We will now move to the Q&A session. If anyone have questions some more, you can open your microphone or type the question in the chat box. Okay, if there are no further questions, we will be concluding the session shortly. Before we conclude, there will be a group photo session. They will please turn on your camera and give your best smile. Okay, everyone, could you please open your camera?
There is one question which has come.
Oh, question some more?
We have from Mei Ling Tham. She's asking that, I think this is more for the panelist. May I know, for UPM students, is it recommended to submit to UPM repository database for easier acceptance?
Okay, for this one, it's recommended to submit to UPM repository data for easy acceptance. Actually, the UPM repository is a storage. And then if it is requirement from the publisher, student can submit through UPM repository to storage the data. So in terms of acceptance, I'm not sure because it is depend to the publisher actually. Okay, hope it's answering to the Miss Mei Ling Tim question.
Yeah. Okay. So okay, what I would like to do is, after this I will connect with Ida and Nida and other people in the library to kind of check if you would like to explore the Digital Commons data repository for the library, which I showed just now, where your researchers can deposit data. They can actually link their data. They can use it for sharing, for collaboration project. You can have a showcasing. So this is a discussion I can have with you if there's an interest from UPM.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Priyanka. Now we will proceed to the photo session. Those who have the camera can open your camera, please. Just a moment, I cannot see yet some other faces. Okay, thank you very much for the participant from everyone. Just a soft reminder, those who have not filled in the attendance form, please fill in at the provided chat box. Okay, we will be concluding soon. Okay, thank you thank you everyone for your time. We also appreciate the engagement from all participants. Well done, everyone, and have a good day. Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone. Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.